Commissioner Smith, do I have a motion to excuse?
Did he call in? Did he call in?
I got an email from Commissioner Phillips saying that he was having a surgical procedure this morning.
I move with approve.
Motion by Commissioner Phillips, second by Commissioner Weiser. All in favor, signify by raising your hands. Motion passes. First item on our
He voted yes.
Commissioner Liner, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I hear you okay. Can you hear me?
We can't hear you, sir. Hold on a second.
I don't know why we don't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear it now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
You know what, Commissioner? We're probably gonna have to do this by sign language. I don't know how we're gonna manage to get through this one with you there. Yeah, that works. That works, yep.
He can hear us, I can't hear you.
Yeah, he can hear us just fine. We just can't hear you for some reason.
You can hear us? You can hear
Yeah,
us?
he can hear us.
I guess we'll still give you the $85.
It'll limit his participation to raising his hand, but we'll manage. All right, on our regular docket, Commissioners, first up is docket number 083-2023-10. The applicant is Land Corporation Lithium Corp. And the subject was to operate a pilot plant and establish lithium royalty. That docket has been dismissed. I do not know if anyone present in the audience was here to participate in that docket. And I'm not exactly certain at this juncture whether or not that is going to be coming up again at some point or sometime in the future. But at least as we sit here today, that docket has been dismissed. Next item on the regular docket, docket number 019-2024-04, Flagville Energy Production LLC. The attorney is Mr. Stovall. Subject is extension of temporary abandonment status. Location is section 33, township 10 north, range 16 west, counties Van Buren, field B43, well spacing area. Are there any commissioners that are going to be recusing from this docket? Well, for the record, there were none. Mr. Stovall, you were recognized.
Mr. Pilkington has something.
Mr. Pinkleton, I'm sorry.
Judge Mold, just for clarification on the previous docket,
Yes, sir.
commission staff is going to prepare an order to memorialize that 2 of the issues in that application were dismissed. There was a 3rd issue that was already adjudicated, so we are going to memorialize this one on the record. Just, it's not something we typically do, but we are going to do here because we've had a lot of calls and communications about what happened with the previous adjudicated issue that you guys had back in December. So I just want to clarify that there will be an order that shows that these 2 issues are dismissed. The previous order that was issued by the commission in December will still be a record.
All right, commissioners, any questions for Mr. Pinkleton in terms of the dismissed docket? Chairman.
That's to give them to produce the pilot plant.
Yes, sir.
But
That's
no
correct.
offer.
That's correct.
If wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pinkleton. All right, Mr. Stovall.
The pre-filed exhibits are found on page 2 of the application. Those include Exhibit A, a list of parties receiving notice. Exhibit B, a flood level test of July 19th, 2023. Exhibit C, a proof of publication. And Exhibit D, an affidavit of notice to parties. Originals of C and D were provided to Mr. Cook this morning. I would move that the exhibits be admitted.
Motion is granted. Those exhibits remain part of the record. Please proceed, Mr. Stovall.
This is an application to extend the temporary abandonment status for the Jones 10-16-6-33H4 well. The Jones well was completed as a horizontal well in the Fayetteville Shell. The Jones well requires a plunger installation and gas lift compressor reset. The applicant wants to retain this well for economic return to production, but the timing of that will be dependent in part on gas prices and the level of production from 2 offset wells, which will return to production in 2022. The break-even price for the Jones well is $3.60. The estimated cost of the workover is $20,000. There is a surface use agreement in place, and there are other producing wells in this unit. And of course, if the application was granted, the applicant would agree to the commission imposed restrictions on transfer.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioners, any questions?
What's the gas price gonna get to 320?
If I had that crystal ball, I may be in a different line of work.
Okay, I just want to check your opinion.
Yeah, no good answer. After no good.
Any other commissioners? Anybody in the audience wish to speak to this docket? For the record, there were none. Based on Mr. Stovall's presentation, any abstentions from the commission? For the record, there were none. While the evidentiary part of the record were closed, this matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission?
Move we approve.
Commissioner Mark Blasson moved to approve. Commissioner Weiser second. All in favor, show of hands. Passes 8 yes votes. Next item on the regular docket, docket number 20-2024-04. Flywheel Energy Production LLC. Mr. Stovall is the lawyer. Subject to, again, is extension of temporary abandonment status. Location is section 11, township 10 north, range 14 west, Van Buren County, P43 well spacing area. Are there any members of the commission that are recusing on this docket? No, for the record, there were none. Mr. Stovall, you are recognized.
Thank you, Judge. The pre-filed exhibits are found on page 2 of the application. Those include A list of parties receiving notice, exhibit B, a flow level test of April 27th, 2023, exhibit C, approved publication, and exhibit D, an affidavit of notice to interested parties. The originals of C and D were provided to Mr. Cook this morning. I think for the admission of those exhibits.
Questions granted. Those exhibits are part of the record.
This is an application to extend the temporary abandonment status for the rainwater Mackey 1014-111H well. The rainwater Mackey well is considered as a horizontal well in the shell. The rainwater Mackey well requires a plunger installation and possible acid treatment, and the applicant would like to retain this well for economic return to production. The break-even price for the rainwater Mackey is $2.71. The estimated workover cost is $25,000. There is a surface use agreement in place with other producing wells in the unit. And of course, if the application is granted, the applicant will agree to the commission restrictions on transfer.
Thank you, Mr. Stovall. Commissioners, any questions? Anybody in the audience wish to speak to this docket? For the record, there were none. Based on Mr. Stovall's presentation, anyone need to abstain? For the record, there were none. Mr. Stovall, anything else you'd like to add?
No, Judge.
I file the evidentiary record to a close. This matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission?
I'll make a motion.
Chair Langley has made a motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Phillips has seconded. All in favor, signify by raising your right hands. 8 yes votes. Application passes. Next item on the docket is 021-2024-04. Merit Energy Company LLC. The attorney is Mr. Rankin. Subject is extension of temporary abandonment status. Location is Section 32, Township 12 North, Range 13 West, Van Buren County. Field is B43 well spacing area. Mr. Rankin, you are recognized.
Mr. Walter, if it pleases the commission, I'd like to combine this application with the following one.
All right, so you're gonna combine 2023, I'm sorry, 04. No, they're both exactly the same, aren't they?
They're the
No.
two wells on the same pad and the same unit.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and consolidate 21-2024-04 with 22-2024-04. Commissioners, anyone wish to recuse from these two dockets? So for the record, there were none. Mr. Rankin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Judge Bolton. The list of pre-filed exhibits appear on page 2 of the application. They are Exhibit A, list of parties receiving notice. Exhibit B is the proof of publication. Originals held in Exhibit C, the affidavit of notice. The proof of publication, the affidavit of notice is provided to counsel for the commission. Also on docket 022, there's also a fluid level test I've handed out to the commissioners, and I'm handing a copy of that. Court reporter for the fluid level test on that well. This is an application to extend the temporary abandonment. Both the Collister 1 and Collister 2 had unsuccessful reactivation attempts in May of 2021 when the gas price was $3. The Collister 1 was brought online with gas assistance produced for 12 days at an average weight of 12 MCF and 66 barrels of water. It was uneconomic at that time, and no signs of gas production was improving. Collister 2 was also brought online with gas assistance and produced for 12 days at an average rate of 25 MCF, 25 barrels of water. No signs of gas production improving at that time. Based on the results of those limited productions when they brought back online, it's assumed that part of the laterals in both of the wells are restricted or bridged off with scale or sand, and they need to be cleaned out with a workover rig. The cost to clean out the wells on the number 1 is $50,000. $50,000 on the number 2 as well. The economic break-even price for that workover on the number 1 is $3.50, and the break-even price on the number 2 is $3.80. Based on how they showed it when they came back on and the need of the workover, we're asking the commission to extend the TA status.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rankin. Commissioners, any questions?
There is a bond up on these.
Both of these wells are covered by bond. The unit is held by production of another well, and there are leases on the well site.
Thanks.
Any other questions for the commission? Anyone in the audience wish to speak to these two matters? Not for the record, there was no response. Based on Mr. Rankin's presentation, any abstentions from the commission? But for the record, there were none. Mr. Rankin, anything else you need to add?
I do not.
All right, thank you, sir. At this point, I call the evidentiary part of the record to close. This matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission? Commissioner Westfall has made a motion to approve. Is there a second? Mr. Lawson. Commissioner Lawson is seconded. Any other discussion? If not, show of hands. Motion passes, 8 votes to none. Thank you, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pinkleton, you are up. You need a minute to get yourself situated, sir?
No.
Commissioners on staff docket, first item is docket number 094A-2023-12. Attorney is Mr. Pinkleton. The subject is dissolution of field-wide unit. The location is set forth in the application. County is Nevada, and the field is Burnell Branch. And you are recognized.
Thank you. Commission staff would request to dismiss this matter after some discussion. Maybe use it at a future time. So we're moving to dismiss this docket at this time.
You need a motion to dismiss it, or do you just want to go?
It's more letting the commission know, and if there's any questions.
All right. Commissioners, any questions based on Mr. Pipleton's desire to dismiss this matter? All right, let's move on to the next one then, Mr. Pipleton. Next item on the docket is 001A-2024-01. It's Ford J Energy LLC. Mr. Pipleton is the attorney. For record, the subject is request for order to compel compliance and request for civil penalties. County is Miller County, the field is Rodessa. Mr. Pipleton, you are recognized.
Thank you, Judge Moulton. On this matter, the commission staff is also dismissing this application. Commission staff entered into a consent administrative order with this operator pertaining to the violations that were addressed in this application, so this matter is going to be dismissed.
You're making my job really easy this morning, man.
My apologies.
Appreciate it. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Pipleton on this docket? No, for the record, there were none. Next item is 023A-2024-04. Mr. Pipleton is the attorney of record. The subject of rescission of field rules. The location is as set forth in the application. County is Lafayette, and the field is Little Woodcock. I'm butchering that, but Mr. Pipleton.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge Moulton. I have a list of pre-filed exhibits I would move for admission of. They would include Exhibit A, order number 170-83. Exhibit B is the copy of notice of hearing, and Exhibit C is the proof of public notice from the Arkansas Democratic Gazette. I would move for admission.
All right. Motion is granted. Your exhibits made part of the record. Before you gravitate any further into the merits, Mr. Pipleton, anyone in the commission need to recuse from this matter? For the record, there were none. Please proceed, sir.
Thank you. At this time, I would ask for testimony from Mr. Robertson.
Sir, would you be so kind as to raise your right hand? You swear from the testimony about to give in this hearing is going to be the truth. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Robertson, you are here at the Oil and Gas Commission, and you're aware that there has been an application filed in docket number 023A-2024-04. And that is a request to rescind the order for field rules.
That's correct.
Are you aware of the recent activity that has occurred at the Little Bodcall field that is the subject of this application?
There has been no recent activity. All wells and fields have flooded fast. Field rules are still based on borders.
So the reason why this application was filed was to rescind the field rules because there's no active wells in the field.
That's correct.
I have no further questions for Mr. Robertson.
Commissioners, any questions? Pipleton?
I have nothing further.
Based on the presentation from staff, any commissioner needs to abstain from this vote. For the record, there were none. Anyone in the audience wish to speak to this matter? For the record, there were none. File the evidentiary part of the records were closed. This matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission? Mr. Wolfley has moved to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Westwell has seconded. Any other discussion? Not show of hands. Motion passes 8 votes to 0. Next item on staff's docket, docket number 024A-2024-04. Mr. Pipleton is the attorney of record. Subject is rescission of field rules. Location of section 32, township 17, south, range 14 west. In Union County, Nick Springs East is the field. Any commission need to recuse from this matter? For the record, there were none. Mr. Pipleton, you are recognized.
Thank you, Judge Moulton. I have a list of pre-filed exhibits that would include Exhibit A, order number 2-57. Exhibit B is a copy of notice of hearing. Exhibit C is proof of public notice from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Staff would move for admission of each of these exhibits into the record.
Motion is granted. Those exhibits are part of the record.
Thank you. This time I would ask for testimony from Mr. Robertson.
You swear affirm the testimony about to give in this hearing is going to be the truth.
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Robertson, you're aware that a request for rescission of order for field rules has been filed pertaining to the Nick Springs East Field. And that was filed in docket number 024A-2024-04. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Why did commission staff move for this application to rescind the order for field rules?
All wells within the field were previously flooded with bank. No production.
Looks like you have a list in front of you of the wells that were previously plugged. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How many wells approximately do you have on that list?
I'd say approximately 50.
But from your records, you've been able to determine that each of those wells were plugged.
That's correct.
No further questions for this witness.
Thank you, Mr. Pipkin. Commissioners, any questions? Any in the audience wish to speak to this matter? If for the record, none. Mr. Pinkelton, anything else you need to add?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you, sir. Based on the presentation, commissioners, do any of you need to abstain? For the record, there were none. Call the evidentiary part of the record to a close. This matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission?
Make a motion to approve.
Chairman Langley's made a motion to approve. Is there a second? Mr. Weiser seconded. Any other discussion? If not, show of hands. All in favor? Motion passes, 8 votes to none. Next item on the staff's docket is docket number 025A-2024-04. Mr. Pinkelton is the attorney of record. The subject is rescission of field rules. Location is set out in the application. County is Lafayette. The field is Palm. Commissioners, any of you need to recuse from this docket? But for the record, there are none. Mr. Pinkelton, you are recognized.
Thank you, Judge Moulton. I have pre-filed exhibits that would include Exhibit A, order number 15-67. Exhibit B is a copy of the notice of hearing. Exhibit C is the proof of public notice from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Staff would move for admission of each of these exhibits into the record.
Motion is granted. The exhibits are made part of the record.
Thank you, Judge Moulton. At this time, I would ask for testimony from Mr. Robertson.
Mr. Kern, do you swear from the testimony about to give in this hearing is going to be the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
Mr. Robertson, you're aware that a application has been filed in docket number 025A-2024-04.
I am.
That is a request from commission staff to rescind an order for field rules on the Palm Field.
That's correct.
And why has commission staff requested this relief from the commission?
All wells within the field were previously flooded with bank.
And you have a list that's in front of you. Is that how you were able to determine that all wells were plugged and abandoned?
Yes.
Approximately how many wells are on that
This
list?
is approximately 15.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Pinkelton. Any questions from the commission? Anybody in the audience wish to speak to this matter? No, for the record, there were none. Based on the presentation from Mr. Pinkelton, any commissioner need to abstain from this vote? No, for the record, there were none. Mr. Pinkelton, anything else you need to add?
And nothing further.
All right, thank you, sir. At this point, I'll call the evidentiary record to a close. This matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission? Mr. Wolford has moved to approve. Is there a second? Commissioner Weiser has seconded. Any other discussion? If not, show of hands. Motion passes, 8 votes to none. Next item on staff's docket is docket number 026A-2024-04. Mr. Pinkelton is the attorney of record, subject to the rescission of field rules. The location is section 28, township 16, south, range 12 west. County is Union County. The field is Pigeon Hill. Anyone from the commission need to recuse from this matter? For the record, there are none. Mr. Pinkelton, you are recognized, sir.
Thank Thank you, Judge Moulton. I have a list of pre-filed exhibits I would move for admission of. That would include Exhibit A, order number 55-55. Exhibit B is a copy of notice of hearing. Exhibit C is the proof of public notice from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. I would move for admission of each of these exhibits into the record.
Motion is granted. Those exhibits are made part of the record.
This time I would take testimony from Mr. Robertson.
Sir, you swear from the testimony about to give in this hearing is going to be the truth. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Robertson, you're aware that an application has been filed in docket number 0268-2024-04. And that is an application to rescind an order for field rules on the Pigeon Hill field.
That's correct.
And just for clarification, this order that we're referencing here, order number 55-55, that is dealing with Pigeon Hill field in the Austin formation, correct?
That's correct.
Are there other field rules pertaining to this field and other formations?
Yes, there are open rules.
But this request is only pertaining to the Austin formation, is that correct?
That's correct.
You have a list in front of you. Can you please explain what that list contains?
It's a list of wells that were drilled in the Pigeon Hill field. Database shows all the wells.
And that's pertaining to the Austin formation again.
That's pertaining to the field. That's all the wells.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Pickerton. Commissioners, any questions? Anybody in the audience wish to speak to this matter? No, for the record, there were none. Anybody need to abstain? Any of the commissioners need to abstain based on the presentation? No, for the record, there are none. Mr. Pinkleton, anything else you need to add?
Nothing further from staff.
I'll call the evidentiary part of the record to a close. This matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission? Commissioner Weiser, second motion. Chair Langley made the second. Any other discussion? If not, show of hands, please. All right, now for the record, 8 yes votes, motion passes. Next item on staff's docket is docket number 027A-2024-03. Mr. Pinkleton is the attorney of record, subject to the decision of field rules. Location is section 28, township 16, South Range 12 West in Union County. Pigeon Hill is the field. Any member of the commission need to recuse from this matter? No, for the record, there were no recusals. Mr. Pinkleton, you are recognized.
Thank you, Judge Moulton. Pre-filed exhibits from commission staff include Exhibit A, order number 56-55. Exhibit B is a copy of notice of hearing. Exhibit C is a proof of public notice from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. I would move for admission of each of these exhibits into the record.
Motion is granted. Those exhibits are made part of the record.
This time I'd ask for testimony from Mr. Robertson pertaining to this application.
I would just keep your hand right up, right, sir. You swore from the testimony about to give in this hearing is going to be the truth.
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Robertson, you're aware that an application has been filed in docket number 027A-2024-04. And that is a request to rescind the order for field rules on the Pigeon Hill field.
That's correct.
Now, the previous application we filed was on a separate order. I believe it was 55-55. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And this is on order number 56-55.
That's correct.
This order is pertaining to the Pigeon Hill field, but in the Cotton Valley formation. Is that correct? Do you have a document that is in front of you?
Yes.
What does that document contain?
List of approximately 10 wells that were drilled within the Pigeon Hill field. Showed all wells were placed.
No further questions at this time.
Commissioners, any questions? For the record, there are none. Anybody in the audience wish to speak to this matter? For the record, there are none. Based on the presentation, any commissioner need to abstain from this vote? For the record, there were none. Mr. Pinkleton, anything else you need to add?
Nothing further from staff.
Thank you, sir. At this point in time, I call the evidence part of the record to a close. The matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission?
We approve.
Mr. Watson has moved to approve. There a second. Commissioner Westphal has seconded. Any other discussion? Not show of hands. Motion passes 8 votes to Next item on staff's docket is 028A-2024-04. Mr. Pinkerton is the attorney of record. Subject to his rescission of field rules. Location is the east half of section 7, section 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 10. Township 20 South, Range 21 West in Columbia County. Red Rock is the fields. Any commissioner need to recuse from this matter? For the record, there were none. Mr. Pinkerton, you are recognized.
Thank you, Judge Moulton. Pre-filed exhibits include Exhibit A, order number 50-75. Exhibit B is a copy of notice of hearing. Exhibit C is the proof of public notice from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Staff would move for admission of each of these exhibits into the record.
Motion is granted. Those exhibits are part of the record.
This time I would take testimony from Mr. Robertson.
You swear affirm the testimony about the given this hearing is going to be the truth.
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Robertson, you're aware that there is a request for rescission of order for field rules on the Red Rock Field. And that was filed in docket number 028-2024-04.
That's correct.
Why is commission staff moving to rescind this order for field rules?
Approximately 20 wells were drilled within the field, all are now plugged in the back.
And there's a list in front of you. Is that how you were able to determine that all wells were plugged?
Yes, it is.
And that is from the commission staff's database of wells?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Commissioners, any questions? Anyone in the audience wish to speak to this matter? But for the record, there were none. Mr. Pinkerton, anything else you need to add?
Nothing further.
Thank you, sir. Based on the testimony, any commissioner need to abstain from this vote? But for the record, there were none. At this point in time, I'll call the evidentiary part of the record to a close. This matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission? Mr. Wolford has moved to approve. Is there a second? Commissioner Weiser has seconded. Any other discussion? If not, show of hands, please. For the record, 8 votes yes, no, 0 no votes. Motion passes. Next item on staff's docket is docket number 029A-2024-04. Mr. Pinkerton is the attorney of record. The subject is rescission of field rules. Location is section 16, 17, 18, 20, and 21. Township 18 South, Range 14 West in Union County. Field is Saul's Chapel. Any member of the commission need to recuse on this matter? So for the record, there are none. Mr. Pinkerton, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Judge Moulton. The list of pre-filed exhibits from staff includes Exhibit A, order number 34-64. Exhibit B is a copy of notice of hearing. Exhibit C is a proof of public notice from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Commission staff would move for admission of each of these exhibits into the record.
All right, the motion is granted. Those exhibits are part of the record.
This time I would take testimony from Mr. Robertson.
You swear from the testimony about the given this hearing is going to be the truth.
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Robertson, you're aware that there's been a request to rescind an order for field rules in Saul's Chapel Field, and that is pertaining to order number 34-64. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What formation are we dealing with here as it pertains to this order?
It's Tuscaloosa formation.
Okay. And commission staff has determined that all wells that were drilled in this field are plugged.
That's correct.
How did commission staff come to this determination?
Viewed our database, approximately 30 wells drilled within South Chapel Field with the plug in the back.
And there's a document in front of you, Sharif, is that correct?
That's correct.
What is that document?
It's a printout from our database showing this well within South Chapel Field.
But it includes the list of wells that have been plugged.
That's correct.
No further questions.
Commissioners, any questions? Anyone in the audience wish to speak to this matter? But for the record, there was none. Anything else you need to add?
Nothing further.
Based on the testimony, any commissioner need to abstain from this vote? No, for the record, there were none. At this point, I've called the evidentiary part of the record to a close. Matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission?
Like a motion to approve it.
Chair Langley has moved to approve. Is there a second? Commissioner Lawson has seconded. Any other discussion? Show of hands. Motion passes, 8 votes to none. Next item on the staff's docket is 030A-2024-04. Mr. Pinkerton is the attorney of record. Subject is rescission of field rules. The locations is set forth in the application. County is Union. Field is Saul's Chapel. Any member of the commission need to recuse from this matter? But for the record, there were none. Mr. Pinkerton, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Judge Moulton. Pre-filed exhibits in this application include Exhibit A, order number 39-68. Exhibit B is a copy of notice of hearing, and Exhibit C is the proof of public notice from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Staff would move for admission of each of these exhibits into the record.
Right, motion is granted. Those exhibits are made part of the record.
This time I would ask for testimony from Mr. Robertson.
You swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this hearing is going to be the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Robertson, you're aware that an application has been filed to rescind an order for field rules at Saul's Chapel Field, is that correct?
That's correct.
And it's order number 39-68, is that also correct?
That's correct.
The previous application that was just heard by the commission, it was also an order for field rules. This one is on a different formation, though, is that correct?
That's correct.
What formation are we dealing with here?
This one is the Travis Peak.
And how did commission staff determine that all wells pertaining to this field have been plugged and abandoned?
Few wells within the field and our database and all. should be plugged and abandoned.
You have a list in front of you. Is that a list of all the wells that have been plugged in that field?
It is.
Nothing further.
Commissioners, any questions? Anyone in the audience wish to speak to this matter? And for the record, there were none. Based on the presentation from staff, any commissioner need to abstain from this vote? And for the record, there were none. Mr. Pinkleton, anything else you need to add?
Nothing further from staff.
All right, thank you, sir. At this point in time, I call the evidentiary part of the record to a close. This matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission? Commissioner Wolford has voted to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Lawson. Any other discussion? If not, show of hands. Motion passes 8 votes to none. Item on the docket is 031A-2024-04. Mr. Pinkleton is the attorney of record. Subject is rescission of field rules. Location is the northeast quarter of Section 20, Township 17 South, Range 14 West. The county is Union County. The field is Smithville. Any member of the commission need to recuse from this matter? And for the record, there were none. Mr. Pinkleton, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Judge Moulton. Staff pre-filed exhibits include Exhibit A, order number 12-67. Exhibit B is a copy of notice of hearing. Exhibit C is the proof of public notice from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Commission staff would move for admission of each of these exhibits into the record.
Motion is granted. Those exhibits are part of the record.
This time I would take testimony from Mr. Robertson.
You swear affirm the testimony about to give in this hearing is going to be the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Robertson, you're aware that there's been a request to rescind an order for field rules pertaining to Smithville Field, is that correct?
That's correct.
And specifically order number 12-67 established field rules for all the wells in that field. How did staff determine that this order for field rules need to be rescinded?
We reviewed our database, all wells within the field have been plugged and abandoned. There was no production.
How many wells were drilled and ultimately plugged in that field?
4.
And you have a list in front of you that you're reading from. What is that list?
It's a list of wells in the field, as determined by our database.
Nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. Pinkleton. Any questions from the commission? Well, for the record, there were none. Anyone in the audience wish to speak to this matter? Note for the record that none. Based on the presentation from staff, any commissioner need to abstain from this vote? For the record, there were none. Mr. Pinkerton, anything else you need to add?
Nothing further from staff.
Okay, at this point in time, I call the evidentiary part of the record will close. The matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission?
Move we approve.
Commissioner Watson moves to approve. Commissioner Westfall seconded. Any other discussion? If not, show of hands. Motion passes 8 votes to none. Winding up, Mr. Pinkerton. Docket number 0332A-2024-04. Ms. Pendleton is the attorney of record, the subject of decision of field rules. Location is section 3, township 15 south, range 19 west. County is Ouachita, field is west and north. Any member of the commission need to recuse from this matter? For the record, none. Ms. Pinkerton, you are recognized.
Thank you, Judge Moulton. List of pre-filed exhibits in this application include Exhibit A, order number 40-66. Exhibit B is a copy of notice of hearing. Exhibit C is the proof of public notice from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Commission staff would move for admission of each of these exhibits into the record.
Motion is granted. Those exhibits are part of the record.
This time I would take testimony from Mr. Robertson.
You swear from the testimony about the given this hearing is going to be the truth.
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Robertson, you're aware the commission staff requested the rescission of order for field rules on the west and north field.
I am.
And is it your understanding that all the wells that were drilled in this field are plugged?
That's correct.
How did commission staff come to this determination?
We reviewed our database and the wells were drilled, previously drilled, field, determined all.
Are you aware of what formations pertain to west and north field and this order for field rules?
It covered the inactive, but graded blossom formations.
Nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. Pinkerton. Commissioners, any questions? Record there were none. Anyone in the audience wish to speak to this matter? No, for the record, there were none. Based on the presentation from staff, does any commissioner need to abstain from this vote? No, for the record, there were none. Ms. Pinkerton, anything else you need to add?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you, sir. At this point in time, I call the evidentiary record to a close. Matter is ready for adjudication. Is there a motion from the commission?
Make the motion.
Chair Langley has made a motion to approve. Is there a second? Commissioner Weiser has seconded. Any other discussion? If not, show of hands. Motion passes 8 votes to 0. Thank you, Mr. Pinkerton.
Thank you.
Item on the agenda is the open docket. The commission will hear public comments concerning the following areas of commission jurisdiction. Whether or not waste of oil and or gas is taking place or is reasonably imminent. The optimum equitable rate of production for each controlled source of supply. Whether or not any rules and regulations currently in effect should be considered for revision or if additional rules should be considered. And any other matters brought before the commission over which it has jurisdiction. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak to any of these items? For the record, there was no response. Director Bengal. But you gotta set something up.
Yeah.
Apparently, we're gonna be taking a break because the director needs to take something up. Set something up. All right, so how much time?
5 minutes.
All right, we're off the record for 5 minutes.
No. I had some tips for this the last few days. So we need to drive you back to the
Put you on the plane and fly. Bring your vehicle to you in about a week, and the only thing you'll say is, what happened? I really don't know. I loaded it out. It took us 3 days.
So where's my phone?
I have it.
I'm gonna hand out those key points.
That's what I was about to.
I have them highlighted.
Good job, Rick. Did you say 20?
So we give you one where the highlights are. It's hard to see what changed from your last vote.
I don't know if I have. But Shannon gave it to me.
To my folder.
I know, but I don't.
She can give you the folder.
She did, but I don't think I got it. What do you need the D23?
Yeah, they have that. I just highlighted what's changed. Just give me a copy of the rule. Yes, yes. And I'll tell you what was thrown in.
Yeah.
So we, what's happened is those tickets.
Yes.
Yeah, there's message.
Change,
So.
this version has. I brought it down with me, but, not in the box that Dan got. It had to do with definitions.
Order.
I just need to make sure, do you need any of this next part on the record?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to get the right version of this rule. The only part we need is this button for this rule. And I can't seem to find, this version doesn't have the changes in. It was just two changes. CLR made us change definition of Portland statute. You know the statute is it was BLR making changes. They made 3 changes. I denied one of them. They said, no, we can't do that. The other 2, I just actually asked you to tip the fact. Say, Dan, this version doesn't have the definition of changes in it. No, I don't see it. Do you see it in there?
Yeah.
When you look at the definitions, I don't see anything about what the statutory definitions are. And Shannon, did I give you my phone?
She did, but I don't think I got it.
Yeah. It's in the definition.
Yeah.
And I don't see it.
Let me see if I can get a hold of it.
Ask Andrea, she's got another one. Say, Dan. Dan, just project it. Just project it.
What's the? Is there any gas? Still really good. Was it just like at the door? Well, he wasn't doing that. Yeah.
I don't know if I ever got it. Monday, I don't know if I ever got it off. I think that's it. That's what we
It's hard to tell what changed.
I know she can't see red lines. She's pressing.
Yeah, I can't.
We've got some of that. You got all these stuff.
That was the email before you asked him to highlight.
Yeah.
Did he give us
I made one up. Also gonna just
give me a check on that?
freeze it to that.
I looked at
Yeah, that's what it's saying. In a minute, I can print it out. I had it all outlined, highlighted. That didn't make sense.
There's two reasons. One, we got, one, we don't want it down there.
Who's emailing us?
Shannon.
Oh, wow. Had a good turnout at the
Wish I could enjoy it. So was anybody here for the Where'd the word go? Jeff.
Yeah.
The public, the word got out to the public. I was concerned that it wouldn't get out everywhere. Plus,
That's why I didn't show up on time.
That's a thinking man right there, right? Avoid the chaos.
Yeah, I wish. This site we have here. The price. Anyway, all the jewelry's.
We have, screens out there already, and we can put that big one out there probably.
Try to accommodate the people.
It'll be in person, so we won't need that Zoom.
Yeah. Just thinking about when people calling me.
We have the, conference room has a TV in too.
I've had some people, I said, we can do it. We can.
We can actually put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that would be better than having 1,000 here. The business.
The copy that Pete sent is clean. Did you need a marked up
I need to
version?
find out what was changed. We're voting on it a second time, so I don't know what was added. This version doesn't have what was added in it.
So you want to- I think he cleaned it up.
I highlighted it and brought it down, but
Pete, the copy is a clean copy. I think we want the red line.
no, what changed?
Well, we're just seeing what you told. You want to put Pete on speaker?
For the second time.
Okay, I have Larry here. We have questions about what was changed.
I can't recognize what was changed between the correct, I know. Which one? Okay, go ahead. Okay, either. Okay. Correct. Okay, so that's wrong. Okay. That's the only two things. Okay. Okay.
That's really neat.
All right. So when the gas, even allows the municipal state versus applications and process by removing the applications and someone parks process. Like, that we added back in. Okay. Okay, all right. Yes. That's it. I got it. Thank you.
So we're gonna print off the red line copy for you,
That's all right. I got it.
and then you got all the other copies for there.
I don't know if the red line. That's just.
There's just like a pilot or something.
Yes, it does. They have.
We'll be right out.
Either. VLR is frustrating.
Oh, sure.
Okay, we're ready.
Take care of Larry, so she can go to regulation.
That might be easier. I'm ready to go whenever you are now.
I love it when
Actually, you don't need to do any of this. I'll just write in the written part.
But it doesn't like it still. Oh, no. Nothing I can discuss here.
No, we're just observers. Who work, we stay on top of it.
That's something I really can't.
Yeah, I gotta hand it out. Chris, it's you. Down there. Oh, Phil's down here. The different names are on them.
Commissioner.
Oh, Jim. Did you mean, Jim Donald?
You have one of these. commissioner.
Should be right here.
You got a commission watch? You got it? You got what you?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
When you're ready. Yep.
Sure.
Everybody find a seat, please.
Two should be not here.
Yeah.
Okay. No, yep.
It's time for the director's report. I'll turn it over to the director.
Thank you. Apologize for being late this morning. A little bit under the weather, so we'll get through this part. The minutes from the last meeting stand is ready to be posted on the webpage. One item we do need to have your vote on is General Rule D23. We voted on that, I think last meeting or meeting before. You have a new version in front of you. In the review by BLR, which Bureau of Legislative Research, of the rule prior to going to the Rules Committee, there was several recommendations made to change some of the rule provisions. There was three of them. One of them we did not agree with, so that change was not made. Two of them we did, and I'll show you which ones those are. If you go to page 2, item number 4 under definitions, definition of gas. Everything from the word either, says either while in its original state or after the natural gas has been processed by removal from natural gas and component parts not essential to its use for fuel, for light fuel. That phrase was not in the original version you voted on. That phrase is part of the definition in the statute for gas, so we had to put that back into the rule. It really wasn't necessary to change any meaning in the rule, but since it's a statutory definition, it has to be part of the rule. So that was added back in, did not change anything by doing that. The other change is in item number 7 in definitions, native gas. The original version was native natural gas, which obviously we all understand the meaning of that. However, the definition of native gas in the statute does not use the word natural. Obviously, when the statute was originally written, it only dealt with natural gas. So native natural gas was what it was meaning. Since we've expanded the rule a little bit to include other gases, that changes a little bit. So we took the word natural out of native gas and then changed that throughout the rule. That does not change any aspect of the rule. It just clarifies that definition to fit what the statute is. So with those two changes, we need another vote to approve this, and then it'll go to the Rules Committee for final review and approval.
Need a motion?
Need a motion to approve those changes or amendments?
Make a motion to approve.
A motion to approve the amendments in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote with the absence of Tim Smith. Thank you. Two other things is, as I went over last night, there are several issues that the commission is working on. Reviewing rules with the Bryan rules to administer the Bryan Act, as you know, that was adopted 1979. We never really adopted rules. What we did is we passed an order dealing with the regulation of the spent brine injection wells. We're turning that into now an administrative rule. We never adopted rules in many other the aspects of the Bryan Act, so we're working on a final version to do that, given the expansion of brine production with respect to lithium. That rule will be forthcoming in the future, probably later on this summer. The other rule we're working on is a rule that you'll see coming shortly also, and that is a amendment to DEQ's rule with respect to surface facilities at commercial disposal wells and for commercial wells with more than 1,000 barrels of storage, which I think impacts some operators in the Fayetteville Shale. We had earlier brought back the surface facilities at all SWD wells. The AOGC in an earlier rule amendment. This rule amendment will complete that process, and now all aspects of the SWD wells, commercial and non-commercial, and surface facilities will be under AOGC. There will be bonding requirements for those surface facilities with respect to commercial and larger facilities, only because there's a larger surface footprint for those facilities. So you'll be seeing that rule later on also. And I suppose you heard, or guess it's been kicked around about crypto mining. If you watched any of the legislative session, there's been concern about the regulation of crypto mining and various aspects of it. The Oil and Gas Commission will be the, I guess, one of the agencies regulating crypto mining. As you know, we passed an order dealing with crypto mining at some well sites. And so we're now be involved in crypto mining, even outside wells, so it's where they're just using electricity from the grid. But there'll be other agencies involved in that. Primarily, there'll be a permitting process. The AG will be involved in certifying that the agent, the company doing the mining, and we use that term loosely, it's numbers manipulation of the computer, but they're not foreign owned. There'll be analysis as to agreement for their power consumption with the utility, a requirement for water consumption from the regulating entity for water. If the county has some zoning, there'll be incorporation of those regulations. And if none of those are in play, then this regulation of oil and gas commission will implement, will fill in those blanks. We'll probably mostly dealing with noise, distance from residents, enclosure of the facility in a building, all designed for noise prevention. But we'll be working on those rules shortly. And so you'll be seeing those for approval as soon as we can get those done. So that's what's going on from a rule standpoint. What I also want to do is I made a presentation briefly on our status of our plugging program. And I thought it'd be a good idea. We're spending a lot of federal money plugging the abandoned wells that we have. We had 430 wells to plug. Fortunately, with the federal grants that we have received and will be receiving, all of our plugging wells, abandoned wells that we know of to date, will be plugged with those grants under that program. It's really benefited the commission especially in areas where it was hard to get to. We're spending a fair amount of income or grant money in site preparation for some wells that we probably never would have done for a long time, given the cost of building roads, dewatering the land, and just getting to and finding some of these wells. I thought it'd be a good idea for Gary to make a presentation while we have time this time on that program. I think it's what you gave it, AEF. Or no, you gave it at the
Andrea and I both co-presented it at the
Natural Resources and Law. Okay. So for those of you who weren't here, I thought it'd be a good idea to go over that program so you understand the benefit that it's been to the commission. You're gonna start, Andrea did the first part or no?
Well, we're having trouble, can't get connected to the internet to share my PowerPoint, so. My team it was connected this whole time, now we're disconnected. Okay.
Good thing we have our Cracker Jack IT team back there.
Word.
Yep. What's over my shoulder, it works.
Say it one more time. One more time. Just one more time.
Very slow. Oh, it's just very slow. There we go.
Well,
Like she's in denial.
Okay, great. Good. Lovely. You moved me away from things, but now.
All right, Dan, you gotta come up here. and-
Well, while we're waiting for this, the buffers, you know, as
May
a-
not have.
Is this who's in charge here?
Yes.
huh?
Are they in charge all the time?
The what?
Are they in charge all the time? Now I understand why it's so confusing.
As you know, I serve as, obviously, I'm serve as director of the Oil and Gas Commission, but I also serve as chief administrator for all the energy programs at ENE. And Andrea is the associate administrator, working with me on that. We have oversight not only of oil and gas, but liquefied petroleum and gas board, the Office of State Geologists, the energy programs, the mining program, emergency management program, which Andrea heads up, as well as the Oil and Gas Commission. One of the things with the emergency management program being in the E&E Division of Energy and Mineral Resources is that we've been able to coordinate activities between operators and DEQ with this aspect of regulating spills to not have cross jurisdictions. But as you all know, we cannot engage in eliminating what US EPA may do because they have independent jurisdiction. They come in here and make inspections independent of what E&E, the Oil and Gas Commission, may do. And I know several of you have been impacted by that recently with US EPA inspections. Hopefully it won't turn out that bad, but we don't have any input into that. Sometimes they notify us. Sometimes they change their plans at the last minute and we don't know where they're going. So let's try to work through those.
If I can add to that conversation briefly, I think contact will improve as far as us knowing maybe when they're coming. One of the ladies that works for EPA was a former DEQ inspector supervisor in the Office of Water, and she and I sort of know each other for several years. In fact, I've helped train H2S and some things, so we've got a good contact there. A lot of the contact letters that they've sent out recently, it's more of an FYI to prepare operators for what may be coming from an SPCC inspection. So there's basically two types of letters. One is supposed to be FYI. These are all the issues that we've seen that may be observed by a later inspection that is coming. And then if there is some sort of evidence of past present discharge, then that's what they're actually there to enforce, because they're with the clean water section. So I've had contact with a few operators that didn't understand what's going on, and maybe at first we didn't either, because the three came in under clean water, but suddenly they're given FYIs about SPCC plans and what may have been.
And those are not regulated at the state level.
No. As Director Bengal said, they have their own authority, both clean water and SPCC. So if you get a letter, it may very well be just related to, hey, these are the issues we see inside your tank battery, inside your containment walls and everything, everything within that. And SPCC inspector may point out. And so we're kind of giving you heads up, because they said there will be one or more SPCC inspectors coming later this year. May or may not know ahead of time on that. But right now, we are sort of getting a heads up as to when, at least it's one of those thing on inspections.
So there's two different issues to be aware of. That if you have a discharge, there would be a oil and gas and DEQ state action, but independent of that, and it would be an SPCC from the US EPA. The state has no primacy over that program. It's purely between the feds and the operators. So there's no connection in that program at all. There is connection to an impact of water under the Safe Drinking Water Act, I guess. And there's where we would engage with them in a different division, not SPCC. So two different EPA programs. One we involved ourselves with through the state programs, and SPCC where we don't. And this inspection was SPCC focused, I think.
Some of both.
Yeah.
Actually. That wasn't clear when they first came down here. They're not SPCC inspectors, so they can't enforce that part. But they start sending out letters to that effect. There was some confusion there. Even I was confused.
And that, if you do have the opportunity to have a personal conversation, correspondence with someone at EPA, make sure that they know that there's one person located in South Arkansas that's 79 years old, has his registered petroleum engineer, instructional engineering staff that does those, Warner Smith. And the only other avenue we have is out-of-state contractors that could even do an SPCC. And I have contracted some time ago, prior to having all my companies reevaluated, brought up to date, you know, we all have done, and I'm still waiting. I requested the service from the people that are in business. They can't do it in the time like that. They just have too much to do. Mr. Smith is married over 79, and he has, you know, he does the best he can. We might let him know that.
And one other thing, if some operators have got some stuff to work around their firewalls, and during this rain, reckon you mentioned that with all the rain we've had, it'd be hard to do some dirt work right now. Now, 2 weeks of 80-degree weather would be a different story, but with all this rain, we're supposed to get a bunch of rain first of the week.
Can't read their minds, but I feel like, I believe that the former DEQ inspector, Ms. Karen Page, is understanding. She worked in DEQ for a number of years. She's been around some of our inspections and with us on former inspections. I think she's understanding.
What's her name?
But she reports to somebody in Dallas, Texas. Right?
Oh, yeah.
In a DEQ Region 6.
Carrie McCabe.
And the other, Carrie
McCabe.
K-E-R-R-I, McCabe, M-C-C-A-B-E. But there were two others with that team. And she was sort of the liaison, knowing oil and gas emissions from me, I think. So I think there's where it was disconnected, obviously, once it leaves her hand. The other two that were here didn't have any issue in Arkansas. So I think she is understanding, but I don't know how much at the end of the day that I think. We can start on a verbal if we need to. A little background. You know, when the initial grant, I guess, application was thrown out there, and there was some discussion in the North Little Rock office at Director Bengal's level about taking that. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, what do we have? What would be a good initial grant application project?" So my immediate thought was Stevens, Arkansas. Some of you may recall or have heard this before, but we had an operator that came through many years ago that acquired some old Marathon units that weren't Marathon at the time, that had already changed hands a time or two, along with old Sherry Petroleum Buck Range units that we call Sherry Buck Range units, and a lot of miscellaneous other wells. So at one time, this operator had somewhere near 1,000 wells in South Arkansas. In the Stevens area, they tried to do some mobile swabbing, some different things, and then the short of a longer story is they took all the rods and tubing and sort of took what they could get out of it. Left the commission with 700 to nearly 800 orphan wells in the Stevens area alone, another 40 or 50 wells toward the Washita River, Morro Bay, and some other wells at Buena Vista, as well as over toward Willisville. So we've sort of been taking a bite of the elephant for a number of years. And so I quickly thought about that project, and we had roughly 230 wells remaining in the Stevens area that we had not plugged. And quite honestly, it was in an area, most of them in areas you couldn't even get to or couldn't find, or going to be very expensive. They were almost always underwater. It took a long dry season for our inspectors and people to even try to take a side by side or get in their muck boots and walk and try to find some additional wells. Occasionally you could get dry enough, we'd find some, but still there was just so much literally flooded swamp water, is what it amounts to. You have to see it, but we may not be seeing anything. So I gave Larry some of the particulars on that. He said, hey, that sounds good, and put in the addition grant that Andrea worked on extensively, and made that to I guess Department of Interior, and it was very quickly accepted, and we were awarded $5 million, I believe.
Mhm.
And so a portion of that was to buy some equipment to help with our UAV program, and the rest was put into plugging. And of course, what did it do right after we got the money and got a contractor selected? It started raining, and it rained about 10 or 12, 15 inches over the course of about 2 or 3 months. We finally got started on the project, and Crude Oil LLC, you know, Steve, most of you, a lot of you know anyway, Steve Locker is our prime contractor. Very conscientious guy, very good contractor, somebody that we have a long history with here working together. And he's done an excellent job. I think his eyes have been open, mine to some degree, as how extensive this is. The fact that we had so much land, we had to de-water. As we like to talk about beavers, relocation of beavers, cleanup job back in the slough where we relocated a lot of cotton miles. This time it's been beavers. We've relocated about 100 of them so far. I think we're over 50 days. We was blown or raked out. And subcontractor he has there has got a track machine with a mini backhoe on it, basically, and it's been able to cut ditches. But it's all about getting water back to the creek. So you're trying to de-water property, get it back to where it belongs. And so that's what he was brought in to do, is to trap beavers and remove beaver dams. And they probably do a better job than the Corps of Engineers. They are good. They work 24/7 all too. Seems like sometimes we're a little bad with them. But we did start plugging wells in mid-July, finally, of last year. We plugged 57 wells. As the water was decreased and we had a few setbacks from additional rains, we found another 15 to 20 wells probably from de-watering areas. We de-watered well over 200 acres of property. And a little history, not every 10-acre plot was real close to it. It was originally set up, these buck ranch wells on 64 wells to a section. Every one of them was more or less in the center of a 10 acres going across, checkerboard all the way down. So hence all the well population density, or the fight of the elephant that we've been taking for so many years, and what we've got remaining are some of the hardest wells to get to. And, just trying to find them is a task in and of itself and everything. Fixing to be building a bridge, we're trying to make it by a rail car train, it might be simple, but anyway, we've got to get across smack over the creek. It's a lot easier coming from one side, thanks to some landowners that we're working with, partnering with, and trying to build a road all the way from the swamps and south. And all this time, Steve Rogers has to manage, the well plug is pretty straightforward. We can all just go out, get what we need to plug the well. But when you got to do beaver nuisance control, removal of dam, work with landowners. We've had a forester out a time or two helping us build roads and location and supervising all that activity. We obviously bought a lot of rock and put a lot of rock down that disappeared on us. We'll put in more rock. It disappeared and put in some more rock on top of that. It disappeared. So to get into some of this information. It's been very successful thus far, but we do have quite a ways to go. I think we have until September 30th of next year. Is that right? September 30th of next year is the.
We had 5 years on the initial grant, but then we're receiving another grant this July, I think it's 5.6 million, 5 years to extend those.
The contract that I got was since September 30th.
Oh, the contract with Steve.
The initial one. So we're going to get 2 more years. We have not had 5 years from that. That'll get you 5.
We'll have to renew that.
Yeah, the contract.
Okay.
Has to be renewed every year.
I'm going to DOI.
Oh, that should be a 5-year contract.
If you go back, it's 3 years on that contract.
Okay. We'll have to renew it.
So anyway, that's what I was working for, is trying to push to get things done by then. So,
Ready?
After I joined.
I'm getting a new computer. That's what I'm getting out of it.
And I'm done. I'm headed.
Yeah, I heard
you.
Andrea can finish. I've tried to preach. Yeah, about out, talk out.
Well, so what this PowerPoint won't have is some of the reporting requirements that Department of Interior is requiring of us. So in the initial grant, we had Davis-Bacon requirements, which made sure that we were paying fair wages, which isn't an issue, but it did mean that we had to make sure that there were prevailing wages established for the counties, for the workers in their category that they were working in. We had to request conformances for positions that hadn't been classified yet. And so we still haven't got them. We also have to do biannual certified payroll reports to Department of the Interior to prove that we are paying on a weekly basis or paying those prevailing wages. So with the new grant that we're receiving in July, we'll have additional requirements on top of that. We'll have to establish any, there are historical areas. We have to say that there's preservation. So we'll have to make sure that there are no artifacts in those areas and prove that there's been a survey done, as well as methane monitoring. So that's the new thing that we're looking into, how we're going to monitor before and after plugging to say what our methane reductions are for the wells that we plug.
Because the program was originally adopted to do that. The federal program was adopted to reduce methane emissions. So the focus is that you measure the methane emission prior to the plugging and then measure it after plugging. And then those measurements will go into the federal database as part of this reporting to show how much methane that program has reduced. That was the major focus. In addition, we have to do inspections, and Gary changes from a state inspector, right? I guess is Davis-Bacon inspector. He has to go out and interview your workers to make sure they're getting paid in accordance with federal requirements. So there's a lot of monitoring that we have to do beyond just plugging the wells. But like I say, without these funds, we would have spent a tremendous amount of money plugging very difficult wells. And because these funds do exist, even though there's sort of a pain with all the reporting, it'll keep our plugging fund intact for the future, which now interest bearing. So a very healthy plugging fund for all the future wells that we put in the fund.
Are we getting a savings account rate on that money, or are we getting a CD rate?
We get whatever the state allows us to get. What is it? Do we know?
I don't know the current percentage, but there are certain funds and deposits that you can do, so they're kind of more of a liquid cash rate, 90 days or 120%. But
Yeah, we just can't go investing it in anything we want to the state.
it used to be that
State
the
process.
treasury received all the income off both our regular account and our well plugging account. At this point in time, based on some statutory changes we made, both those accounts now bear interest, the interest that the commission gets to keep, whether it's the plugging fund or the operational fund to help offset additional costs.
If the $10 million that we have in there, the interest alone will provide probably several $100,000 normal plugging program, which will plug quite a number of wells on an annual basis. So we won't have to touch that principle for some time unless we have a huge influx of wells from some company. But with the changes we made for gas wells, when you transfer marginal well, to have those bonded, as well as using the federal funds in South Arkansas, that fund should be very healthy for the future. Okay, ready to go? Florida?
Yeah, so Gary has his, that doesn't have my slides in it. The only other thing that I was gonna talk about is how many documented orphan wells there are across the US. 120,000 is what is estimated. And in comparison to other states, the amount of wells that we needed to plug and the amount of money that we took from the federal government. So we have 10 million, most other states, they range from 250. We ranked about, I think about 10, they're not coming up in the number of wells per state. So we were way down there in the number of wells that we had to plug and the amount of money that we requested from feds.
Pennsylvania received like $350 million to plug orphan wells.
Yeah, the total program is 658 million across the US is what the feds put for plugging. So, okay, roll those videos.
Well, so I've got your parts of here.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, but I covered it.
Yeah, I'll cover that. So,
Okay.
We've got all types of orphan wells. Some still have tubulars in them, and some are out in areas, obviously, and then North Arkansas areas that'll be covered under the next grant, performance grant, where they'll come with an active plugging program there as well. And tank barriers that we're removing, quite a few tank barriers are still out in the woods. It's amazing what you can find when you get out there and start walking, and when you de-water and find things and all. And some sort of look like an old tree stump maybe out there, but do have some problems that we're taking care of.
I think of the 250 wells we have left to plug, 80 of them are in North Arkansas, I believe. Our gas wells, the rest are in South Arkansas.
Yeah, there's 40 or 50 in Washington County and another 20 over in Madison County, probably Jason. I'm trying to go, because we did demographics when this started, about projects coming there.
So those are mostly up on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Old Van Oil Company, quite a few, State Oil Company.
Yeah.
And all up that way.
One of the problems we have in North Arkansas is a lot of landowners do not want the well plugged.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to address how we do that, because if we don't plug it, and the next landowner wants a plug, I don't know.
I can put a bond that keep.
Well, we're gonna have to address that program, because a lot of wells, they think they have value, so they're not letting us on the plug.
Think of them as their well.
Mhm.
So when you compare it to hooking up propane or whatever remote like that,
Right.
it's a real deal. So again, we started this, Larry started when he came in 2005, we started an annual well fee program, which led into funding, and so we have a plug-in program and all, and the numbers are dynamic. These were changed already. 459 was remaining at one point. We plugged over 600, and some of you, maybe all of you during a past AOW hearing saw this picture. Some people might still find it amusing if they hadn't seen it, because the inspector went out there. That's amazing how the well blends in with the tree, or the trees blend in with the well, and then you got Taz sitting up there. And the joke was on guard duty. So, and again, annual well fees, fund transfers for our budget have historically fed our plug-in program. 4 out of 5, I think, for plug-in contractors, and basically do this on time and material rates. And then we create plug-in models and select contractors from those plug-in models using their time and material for each one to get a low estimate of plugging, and usually for that contractor. Notice to proceed. Done a lot of tank failures for pit sites. We've done a lot of these tank failures in Stevens prior to get to them. Typically, sell oil, you had to have them out on weak ground, high ground somewhere to sell oil. So we've already taken care of a lot of tank failures, and what we're getting old rock walls left in the woods. And just real quickly going back, 7, 8 years, I don't know. Nice scene, but we had Norfolk Well right at the tip of Calhoun County. Union County on the other side of the Washita River, and Bradley County on the other side of Morrow Bay Creek. And I got in a boat with a former employee, and we paddled up the creek, and as Larry said, would say down the creek. It took him about 5 years.
It's still in my
Down
neck,
Illinois,
too.
it's called a creek. I always talk about that's what happens to your neck. It's a creek. Anyway, got out and walked in the woods a short ways to find this well. So sort of had to jump into action because it was actually a very dry summer. We built a road, about 2.7 miles, I think, of road. I made mention of a deer hunter / farmer that sort of ended it, that had a 3-cylinder Dutchel tractor. Anyway, however you pronounce that, I'm trying to remember. He jumped on the tractor and said, "Follow me." So that's what we did. We wound up through there and came out of the campsites, and found our way into that well and built the road and connected to it, and rigged up, got it plugged. Andrew's already talked a little bit about the IIJ grant money that we applied for, received $5 million. So there's that part. We already talked about that. Finally got started. Got us a yard so we can house equipment, rock product, accurate, keep it close by. Good meeting place as well. That's sort of leading into one of the areas of the swamp, and that was, as I might have said already, one of those defining moments. I've done a lot of my career here, but I was fixing to walk through that, and I thought, this was just last summer. I was thinking, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
Don't I have people for this? But, yeah, so I followed the nuisance animal control guy. Was like a kid in a candy store. This was his work and everything. He took off from that stuff. I took off behind him. I said, well, I hope they hit you first. Some evidence of roads were there, but you can see where the water's been on the left. All of that is basically dead vegetation. And we had a lot of water backed up in places, and a lot of swamps, and a lot of beavers that had controlled the area for probably 30 years now. So, day one, start with a very large dam that was about head high, holding back a lot of water, and we needed to remove it. And we don't have any sound. Yeah, but anyway, This was the very first one, and Director Bengal might have been curious if I knew what I was doing or what we were doing, so I had him on FaceTime so he could observe that, you know, everything's gonna be okay when we start talking about using explosives down here. Large body of water. This is one that the small one that they blew out, and then they get out there and break that off. This was a good decision early on. Big mulching machine. You know, typically we use, like everybody in this, bulldozers, tractors, move vegetation, move the trees out of the way. But you leave a lot of stump holes, you leave a lot of debris pushed up, you leave a lot of stuff after the fact that you really need to clean up. Given that this is a restoration project, we decided to try this, and it was a good move. We mulch in and clean a lot of stuff that's otherwise would be a problem, and it creates a little bit of a road bed to help support our equipment. It's one of the things I say before we get through, I'm gonna get up there and drive too. So it turns the former location into a new location, and it's, as I said, it's clean, it's, you know, it's attractive. The landowners that we've dealt with and talked with like it as well.
There's no disturbance of the dirt, nothing piled up.
Kind of leaves it, nothing's pushed up and piled up, look, and everything when we're done. Same way with our roads, building in roads where we can. As you can tell, this is an area we de-water and let it dry for a few months. Cut a road through there. Found that once you got rid of that top foot, sometimes you mow, you still had a pretty good road bed down there. And often we're finding gravel still in place from years ago. Sometimes you can tell walking on it. Typical equipment doing the typical work. Might be difficult to see. There's a vintage pipeline right away running through there. We've had to cross it so many times, and we have to build air bridges without putting pressure on that pipeline. So we put mats down and then put a mat across the mats, but there's nothing underneath it there. And create that air bridge with the pipeline. And again, this the before picture, and then you see an after view of that same site. Water pretty much drained out there. That was all full of water. It went about 500 yards before it opened up into one of the lakes. I think this is one we are draining or have mostly drained. I think I took an ATV ride the other day around it. It's still awfully wet with a lot of water out there, but it's nothing like it was. We're making progress. Since we don't have the newer model, this one is outdated. We've probably 200 acres of water drained and 50 plus beaver dams removed, and we have 57 wells. We have found, I don't recall the exact number, but we're above 20. We've got more than 20 well locations basically ready now. We're just waiting for dry weather to put it in, and then we have probably another 25 or so that we can start building on. So I think if we have a drier period this summer, we'll probably shoot for about 75, 80 wells getting filled, or more if we can find them. I have high hopes we'll find a large percentage of them, but my hope is pretty slim that we'll find all of them. And it could be that we don't have a record of well plugging from some time back. We've actually are plugging wells with permit numbers 243. It's 100-year-old well, basically. Sit still for a minute. That's all.
Is a drone shot from our
Yeah,
drone.
we had our UAV team down at the same time. Too bad we don't have sound, and not recognize the voice.
He left. He didn't want to be incriminated.
But, we had Secretary Corey and Andrea's been there, Carol, Dan was there that day, I think. Dan Jilkington was also there. And staff, let's see.
Lauren Ballard.
Lauren was, yeah, poor Lauren. Feel bad for Lauren. I told her I'd buy her a pair of boots. She had a short 7-inch rubber boot on and she stepped in a hole and it was over with, you know. I thought, oh boy. And that was in July and I followed them everywhere. Of course, I would have anyway, but I was looking for other things, more worried about what we might encounter, but we had an encounterless day. That's why, so everything went well. Everybody, I think, had a pretty good time. Survived the day. And since then, we've had the governor down, and she was interested in our project. Took some time out. Her busy schedule. Got to have a blast that day herself. I'll tell one story that everybody that was there knows. We had more people come and sort of were following than we anticipated to have the trucks. I had trucks and side by sides for everybody.
Skip the blast there, Jim.
For the head count, we had more head count. So as I was walking back, trying to make sure I had enough truck space for everybody, I hear my door slammed with my truck and taking off, and the governor's driving my truck. Her group's gone. And didn't know where they were going, but they were gone. Shane was in the truck. And he called him and he said, "Now where are we supposed to go?" She had an opportunity to drive our back there side by side. But a few times, so that all worked out. She had a
So tomorrow, oh, okay, I was just gonna say, tomorrow, we're actually using our drones, our UAVs for the first time, with the LiDAR function to look for some of these wells. So Jeff is here and Dan and 2 more from our IT team. So they have software that programs where the drone will go. So they've already mapped it out. They'll lift up, do it, they'll get it off the ground, and then it will follow the path that they have programmed in, and it will come back. And so then we'll have to interpret the data, which I hear is not as easy as I thought. I thought it would say, well, here, but apparently it's more complicated. So, but we're excited to start using that software. It's something new for our team. They've had some training from the manufacturer. So, and it will cost us about $2,000 a well to monitor for methane. So that's one thing we forgot to talk about. We'll have about $250,000 invested just in methane monitoring, which we'll put out for bid for contractors in the state that monitor for methane.
And an unknown amount for the archaeologic, historic preservation inspection of the well site. So nobody worried about that when they drilled the well, and they dug the pits and cleared the site. But now that we're gonna plug the site, we'll be checking to see if it was dug up, I guess, in the past. The funny part about that is if it was, we can't use federal funds. So we're just going to plug it with state funds. So shows you how, I guess, how much we care about the historical site. But I can't imagine after these years and the disruption of the site that we really will find anything. But we also have to do endangered species investigation of each site also. Primarily, I think we'll use bats. So we'll probably have to do that too. But all those will be contracted out through third-party entities to do those studies. The drone or the UAV equipment packages we have, and now we have capabilities for, as well as ground penetrating radar package, which actually can be used on UAV or on a surface facility. We have a gas detection package. We have LiDAR, which strips the vegetation off, and you can see the ground if there were no vegetation there at all. We have a magnetometer package, And we have the, obviously, not a FLIR, but a temperature differentiation capability. And just photography. So quite a unique suite. We're probably the only UAV in the state that has all of those in the country, maybe.
We're the only agency that has all of those put together.
Yeah.
We were the first ones to do it. Since we've done it, Indian Nation has taken our bill of materials to do the same thing, and Alabama has taken the same approach to do the survey and to identify wells with the UAVs the way that we put it out there. It was not there to begin with. Finding all the equipment is tough. It's overseas equipment, but we will get started actually tomorrow on all of this to make it happen and to locate these wells. As Andrea said, you know, the gathering of the data is one thing, interpretation is totally different. I mean, squiggle marks on a screen and trying to interpret that. Just to give you a quick oversight, what our plan is and the whole concept that Larry and I have had is we will take different surveys with all these different instruments. The LiDAR, the magnetometer, the gas detection, and the ground penetrating radar. And because they are referenced by GPS down to a 3 centimeter accuracy, if I remember that correctly, we will be able to lay them on top of each other. And so when you have a signature from the magnetometer that sits on top of the same signature that the ground penetrating radar had, that the LiDAR indicates that's on the well pad, it's going to be pretty obvious the well is there. That's the concept. And so we will get started on that tomorrow. Really looking forward to starting to get those results and to get that data. We have to do LiDAR first. That gives us the lay of the land where everything's at, because to make this work the best we can make it work, we need to fly as low as we can. So by the LiDAR will tell us what those minimum altitudes will be that we can fly, that we get the best return from the instrument. And the new UAVs have radar altimeters in them. So when we say fly 48 feet off the ground, it will track the ground and fly 48 feet over the ground, whether it's a hill, whether it's whatever. So that's where LiDAR really going to pay the dividend. So on all of these processes, when we go to look for wells, LiDAR will be number one to give us the lay of the land, so that then we can set, as Andrea mentioned, we set the instrument up to fly the pattern at what altitude and how to fly the pattern. So it is a big learning curve, but we're excited to get started and start returning some results that, quite honestly, had never been done the way we're doing it in the, I hate to say the world, but I know in the US, because we've had engineers say, what are you doing? And we'll explain it. And to date, most of them said that should work. Famous last word. So we're going to find out.
Dan, is this a one of the big commercial?
Yeah. They're Inspired Flight 1200A. They are on the blue list, meaning DOD approved. So we're not in a no-fly zone with any Chinese equipment. They're all US built, US assembled, and they'll look like a wheelbarrow running through the air a little bit. I forgot, Jeff may remember, the total tip to tip around the whole parameter is probably 5, maybe up to 6 feet. They're not just huge, but to see them up in the air, it's a different approach than the little ones. The little ones sound like bumblebees buzzing around. These sound more like the lower tone, but it's still amazing how quiet they are, but, some of our, and it depends on altitude too, but they are big UAVs.
What kind of price tag is on that?
On what?
On the drone?
On the drone itself?
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't tell you that off the top of my head. I want to say the UAV with no extra batteries or anything, each UAV was, don't quote me on this, I think was around 13,000 a piece. I can tell you the other component, I can tell you for a fact, the gas detection camera is a true FLIR camera that will detect up to over 200 gases by signature. That's $70,000. The magnetometer, ground penetrating radar, and the LiDAR unit probably all danced around 20 a piece. I'm just guessing off the top of my head. I don't remember those numbers. But when you get to adding all the extra batteries, you start adding up some costs pretty quick too, because we bought extra sets of batteries, extra propellers, the whole 9 yards.
Just curious, thank you.
I think we have 3 UAVs,
We have 3 of the 12.
for those packages. I think it was 400,000 for everything we have.
That includes training and all that in there too.
Thank you.
I just want to go over all that from once we see the effort that's put in, but once again, Arkansas is going to be on the top end of something here, technology, just as we were in the Fayetteville Shale. We were the first state to do noise before other states, and we were the first state to address the earthquakes before that got away. We were the first state to do still the only state to do cross unit wells for Fayetteville Shale, which allowed that to be developed very quickly. Other states were doing it well by well, unit by unit fields. So we did a lot of things first. We were the first state to do chemical requirements for frac fluids. So we've been the first in a lot of different things that's really helped the state take advantage of what resources we have. And this is just another example, taking advantage of what the opportunities there are to have a great capability here for the state. I think that's everything I have. If you got any questions, that's all I have for my report. But since we had some time, I want to go over some of those things that we normally don't discuss.
On the methane gas, did I read in some of them documents last night that if you have it, you can flare it and burn 95% of it up?
I'm not sure how that works on new versus old.
I'm talking about old.
Yeah, I don't know. DEQ is going to have to develop rules. One of the things they were talking about is, I was talking to Dave Gibbs with Mission Creek about the aspect of potential for doing a regional basin study. Some of our reservoirs have no gas, very little gas. And the potential is if we did maybe a reservoir analysis of gas released during production, especially at tank batteries, maybe we can write a rule that if some of those zones are so degassed already, that they can be exempted in the rule if a well is producing, from them zones. So we're looking at things like that may help streamline that process. And if you're in that zone, you wouldn't have to monitor. It's going to be accepted as a degassed zone. But when we do the gas measurement for the plugging program, we'll actually have several hundred wells measured across the basin from a gas content right now. The ones that we've done, I think we've measured like 10 wells or so with the company, north and south. And outside of one well in North Arkansas, there's negligible gas to even measure. So we'll be collecting a lot of data to maybe do something like that, but the state has to have a plan in 2 years, unless something happens to that program.
You also get you a list of zones that be exempt from.
Yeah, we can give you.
We can save you a lot of work.
Yeah,
We can
anything
save you a
water
lot
and
of
solid,
work.
you know,
Yeah, we're-
anything that produces a lot of water,
Word of mouth doesn't count as measurement.
let us help you. I'll read the instrument.
Well, thank you for the time to go through those things.
Thank you. This meeting's adjourned.